Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we delve into Purity and Danger by Mary Douglas, a seminal work in the field of anthropology and cultural studies. Published in 1966, this book offers a compelling exploration into how different societies perceive purity and contamination. Douglas introduces a framework that analyzes how cultural values and worldviews are deeply entrenched in the binary notions of what is considered sacred and pure versus what is deemed dirty or out of place. This engagement with the binary classifications in various cultures reveals not only the dynamics of inclusion and exclusion, but also provides insights into the complexities where something, or someone, can embody both or neither qualities. Mary Douglas, an esteemed British anthropologist and professor at institutions like University College London and Princeton University, is renowned for her insightful research on human symbolism and her extensive fieldwork with the Lele people of the Kasai Occidental. Her influential ideas resonate through her numerous publications, positioning her as a pivotal figure in understanding the interplay of cultural practices and beliefs. Purity and Danger is an essential read for students of cultural theory and anthropology. It serves as a perfect introduction to Douglas's broader body of work. Additionally, anyone interested in comparative religion or simply looking to broaden their perspective on cultural constructs around purity will find this book enlightening. Join us as we explore how understanding other cultures' distinctions can deepen our insights into our own societal structures. Purity and Danger: Investigations on the Human Obsession with Dirt and Cleanliness. Introduction: Exploring our understanding of cleanliness and sacredness. Imagine you're at dinner, about to enjoy a delicious meal, when suddenly a pair of muddy boots is placed on your table. Disgust might be your first reaction, but consider this: are the boots inherently dirty, or are they simply out of place? This same mud, within the context of a garden, supports life, nurturing your plants. So, is it truly dirty? In Purity and Danger, first published in 1966, Mary Douglas challenges the notion that objects or actions have an inherent purity or impurity divorced from context. Douglas suggests that by categorizing experiences as clean or unclean, sacred or profane, cultures impose order on the chaotic tapestry of existence. Dirt and taboos serve to maintain these categories, fortifying societal structures. Yet, when these boundaries are threatened, the elements or individuals become seen as dangerous. Through this perspective, Douglas critiques the biases of earlier Western anthropologists who often evaluated non-Western cultures through a prejudiced lens. Many of these scholars viewed larger, predominantly Judeo-Christian cultures as superior and more deserving of scholarly attention. In contrast, smaller, often non-literate societies were considered less evolved and inferior. Douglas argues against these classifications, proposing instead a framework for understanding cultural norms about cleanliness and sacredness globally, rather than viewing one culture through the lens of another, which inevitably leads to prejudice. She encourages interpreting each culture's concepts of dirt and taboo within their own contexts. This approach offers a deeper understanding of how individuals within these cultures perceive and interact with their world. This exploration is deeply connected to how societies determine what is sacred and how they handle ambiguity, where people or rituals don't neatly fit into established categories of clean or unclean, holy or unholy. By reframing our understanding of these categories, Douglas illuminates the profound impact of cultural perceptions on our interaction with the world. Part 1. Understanding the societal impact of defining dirt and order. Cast your mind back to your childhood, when you were first learning the rules of the world around you. Did your parents ever tell you tales or warnings about the consequences of not following certain rules? Perhaps you were cautioned that skipping your vegetables would prevent you from growing strong, or that a monstrous creature might visit if you didn't get to bed on time. These early lessons were more than just scare tactics. They were your initiation into understanding what your culture deemed risky or inappropriate. Essentially, from a young age, you are being taught about what is considered unclean in your society. But why all the emphasis on cleanliness and avoidance? Mary Douglas argues that by collectively recognizing certain things as dirty or taboo, communities enhance their chances of survival. A shared sense of danger fosters unity and a cohesive social experience. Douglas famously described dirt simply as matter out of place. This definition underscores that our judgments about cleanliness are far from absolute. Dirtiness is relative. Something becomes unclean, not inherently, but because it transgresses the invisible boundaries set by societal rules. Think about those muddy boots on your dining table. They likely repulsed you because you've learned that dirty shoes do not belong where food is consumed. Seeing something as dirty often signals that it poses a threat to the established order, a set of expectations you've come to accept and cherish. However, every society is a microcosm with its own unique traditions, which can be distinctly different from those of other communities. In some cultures, eating with bare hands is the norm and seen as perfectly hygienic, whereas in others, it is met with disapproval and considered impolite. Beyond simple hygiene, broader taboos concerning morality and spirituality significantly influence social conformity and cohesion. Examples include dietary laws, prohibitions against sorcery and incest, and specific rituals to remedy sickness. These taboos vary widely across cultures, each playing a crucial role in maintaining the societal order. As we delve deeper, we will explore some of these varied cultural norms and taboos, alongside Douglas's insights on interpreting and understanding them within their unique cultural contexts. This understanding opens up a broader perspective on what constitutes dirt and order, and how these concepts shape the social fabric of different communities. Part 2: Decoding the Puzzle of Dietary Laws. Let's delve into one of the most talked about themes in purity and danger. But before we proceed, keep in mind a critical caveat we'll discuss at the end of this narrative. Our focus now turns to an animal often associated with farms and mud baths. Yes, the pig. But beyond their earthly habitat and distinct oinks, pigs become a centerpiece in discussions of purity, especially in the context of ancient dietary laws. In the Old Testament, particularly the book of Leviticus chapter 11, specific animals are deemed acceptable for consumption, while others are not. Pigs, despite their cloven hooves, are labeled unclean because they do not chew the cud, a process where animals regurgitate partially digested food to chew it again, aiding digestion. This characteristic is shared by animals like cows, sheep, and goats, which are permitted in the diet. The rationale behind such dietary restrictions has sparked extensive debate. One popular explanation, often referred to as medical materialism, suggests these rules originated for health reasons, asserting that pigs posed certain health risks in the climates of the Middle East. This hypothesis aligns these ancient taboos with contemporary understandings of hygiene and disease prevention. However, Mary Douglas challenges this clinically oriented interpretation. She argues against reducing these complex rituals to mere considerations of physical health or dismissing them as arbitrary. Instead, Douglas views these dietary laws as a profound manifestation of spirituality. She suggests that the decree against pork consumption symbolizes a deeper communal pursuit of holiness, reflecting the repeated biblical injunction to be holy, for I am holy. This alignment with divine purity through the practice of dietary restraint illustrates a tangible commitment to spiritual ideals. Moreover, if we look at the etymology of holy, we find roots that emphasize separation and sanctity. The Latin sacer and Hebrew kaddish both connote setting apart or restriction, reinforcing the notion that such dietary laws served as boundaries, segregating the sacred from the profane, purity from impurity. However, years after the initial publication of Purity and Danger, Douglas revisited her interpretations in a 2002 preface to the book. Here she acknowledges potential errors in her analysis, specifically questioning the rationale behind distinguishing permissible animals like cows and goats from forbidden ones, such as pigs. Douglas contemplates the complexity of divine logic, pondering why a rational and compassionate deity would create creatures only to label them abominable. This revision adds an intriguing layer to our understanding of purity rules, inviting us to reflect on the dynamic interplay between cultural practices, spiritual aspirations, and theological inquiry. Part 3. Challenging cultural classifications of primitive and modern. In her groundbreaking work from the 1960s, Mary Douglas explores the labels primitive and modern, terms historically wielded by anthropologists and religious scholars from the 19th and early 20th centuries. These scholars often described societies they viewed as less advanced, using the word primitive, suggesting these cultures were governed by superstition and fear, unlike the modern societies they considered rational and scientific. Douglas, astutely critical of this dichotomy, acknowledges her continued use of these contentious terms. She points out that their original use by earlier scholars was often tinged with racism, serving to demean and diminish the worth of foreign cultures and religious practices. Her utilization aims not to perpetuate this flawed perspective, but to critically reevaluate it. In her critique, Douglas offers a fresh lens through which to consider what have been termed primitive cultures. She posits these societies as deeply intertwined with the universe's natural elements, where individuals seek to actively interpret and navigate their experiences within the world. This participatory engagement contrasts sharply with the supposedly detached, rational analysis characteristic of modern societies. Illustrating her point, Douglas references the Kung Bushmen of present-day Botswana and their intimate interaction with their environment. The Kung believe in now, a vital force they can manipulate to influence weather patterns. This force is engaged through rituals, such as a hunter donning makeup to resemble the animal he has killed, which they believe affects the meteorological conditions based on the dynamics of their hunts. This recontextualization invites us to rethink the linear progression from primitive to modern as a cascade of complex culturally embedded interactions with the world around us. Douglas's work encourages a deeper understanding and respect for these intricate systems of belief and practice, advocating for an acknowledgement of their sophisticated, meaningful engagement with the natural and spiritual realms. Thus, she not only critiques but also enriches our comprehension of cultural and spiritual dynamics across different societies. Part 4. Navigating the blurred lines of sacredness and impurity. In various cultures across the globe, the distinction between what is considered sacred and what is deemed unclean is not always clear-cut. This ambiguity can create complex social and spiritual dynamics, as seen in the dietary customs of the Lele people from the former Kasai Occidental province in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The dietary regulations of the Lele are intricately defined. Certain animal parts are reserved exclusively for men, others for women, some for children, and specific ones for pregnant women. Additionally, there are animals that are completely prohibited for all. On the surface, these rules appear straightforward. However, complexity arises with animals that defy easy categorization. Consider the flying squirrel, which is neither fully a bird nor a typical terrestrial creature. This ambiguous nature places it in a category that is mostly avoided by adults, though children are permitted to eat it without facing any spiritual or physical repercussions. Even more intriguing is the status of the forest pangolin, or scaly anteater, which embodies an even greater degree of ambiguity. The pangolin possesses scales like a fish, but can climb trees, a rarity among scaled animals. Furthermore, it reproduces singularly and nurtures its offspring, paralleling mammalian reproductive behaviors. For the Lele, the pangolin is not just an animal, it occupies a dual symbolic role. It is associated with human fertility, particularly mirroring the status of humans who birth twins. This connection is celebrated and ritualized. The pangolin is seen as a bearer of fertility, pivotal for community perpetuation. Eating pangolin meat during specific ceremonies is believed to transfer this fertility to participants. Here, the pangolin's intermediate status between sacred and unclean does not diminish its value. Instead, it elevates the animal to a significant cultural emblem. It is sacred due to its role in fertility rituals, yet it remains outside the bounds of ordinary consumption, preserving its sanctity and power within the community. This dual nature of being both sacred and unclean highlights how ambiguity can embody a potent communal and spiritual significance, reframing what might otherwise be seen as mere contradiction into a source of profound cultural identity and continuity. Part 5. The complexities of societal outsiders, witches and sorcerers. In the intricate tapestry of societal norms and classifications, not all entities or individuals neatly fit into predefined categories. Mary Douglas delves into what happens when humans exist outside these typical patterns, describing them as being in a marginal state. These individuals challenge the conventional boundaries of purity and danger, leading to their ambiguous classification within their communities. According to Douglas, this marginal status renders these people enigmatic and, at times, perceived as dangerous. Their inability to be clearly defined as either pure or unclean places them in a liminal space that can inspire fear and superstition. This fear plays out vividly in the perception of witches and sorcerers within various cultures. These individuals are often thought to harness mysterious powers that fall outside the ordinary understanding of their communities. Similarly, unborn children might also be considered in a marginal state, as their status as fully living beings is yet to be confirmed. The societal response to such ambiguities can vary dramatically. On one level, people in marginal states might be ostracized or feared as harbingers of bad luck or as vectors for malevolent forces. This is comparable to the fear surrounding the concept of the evil eye, prevalent in multiple cultures, where mere glances are believed to bring misfortune or harm. On the other hand, in some cultures, individuals labeled as sorcerers or witches are not only feared but also revered. Their supposed supernatural abilities can be viewed as tools that can be wielded for both harm and healing. For example, in parts of Central Africa, what might be termed sorcery in Western contexts is often integrated into traditional healing practices. This duality is exemplified in historical figures like Joan of Arc, who navigated several marginal identities, as a female warrior in male attire, claiming divine inspiration during a time when such assertions could lead to accusations of witchcraft. Joan represented a confluence of contradictions that placed her in a distinctly marginal state. Extending this concept to more contemporary examples, Douglas points to individuals with past incarcerations or psychiatric hospitalizations. These modern-day marginal figures often face social exclusion and suspicion, perceived as potentially disruptive due to their past experiences outside societal norms. Such examples illustrate the dynamic, yet often fraught interactions between society and those who exist on its fringes. These marginal states challenge predominant social structures, prompting a spectrum of reactions from fear and exclusion to reverence and integration, thereby highlighting the diverse ways cultures navigate the complexities of human existence. Final summary. At the heart of understanding societal norms and cultural codifications is the concept that dirt is matter out of place. This principle propels the way communities differentiate between what is considered unclean and what is deemed sacred or pure. By establishing these distinctions, societies categorically organize the world, which in turn shapes their perceptions and experiences. This categorization is not merely an exercise in labeling, but a foundational process for maintaining social order within a community. Each culture approaches this differently, instituting unique rules and rituals that dictate not only the placement of objects and substances, but also the roles and acceptable behaviors of individuals within the societal fabric. Particularly poignant is the treatment of individuals in marginal states, those who do not comfortably fit within the established categories of purity or danger. The varied responses to these individuals, ranging from reverence to ostracization, underscore the significant impact of cultural interpretations and societal thresholds of acceptance. This exploration reveals the intricate ways in which societal norms are constructed and the profound implications these structures have on both community cohesion and individual identity. Through understanding these dynamics, we gain insight into the complex interplay of order, purity, and cultural interpretation that underpins human social existence. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.